What's going on, guys? Welcome back. This is a special edition of the Discourse. Don't mind my backgrounds and surroundings. This is Empire Acadia, so we're about real time, real people, real games. So everything is real. Just to give you guys an update, here's a green screen, but yeah, Newegg didn't send me the actual stand, so I have to actually get a stand to set up a stream in the back. But this is a special edition of the Discourse regarding should gamers stay out of politics and war. And this is based on a news piece that came out on RT, uh, talking about the new Call of Duty. Very interesting topic, and it's going to set the premise of our discussion regarding should gamers stay out of war, politics, and war. I'm going to be joined by the Empire KDS Commonwealth on the Discord, and we're going to ask real gamers, not that other people aren't gaming gamers, but people who are literally in gaming that you guys know, which is obviously Empire KDS Discord, about this topic. We're going to run the news piece, give you guys a chance to watch it so we can get the full context. And once we get the full context, then we can begin our discussion. I'll be joining in the Discord group. So without further ado, let me start wasting you guys' time. Let me get straight to it. So this is the piece. Like I said, it was on RT earlier today. I actually listened to the whole thing. This is crazy. Let me get this set up right now. So yeah, let me get this started.
It's back in a big way. After years of falling sales and irrelevance, Call of Duty is going back to its roots. It'll be more shocking, more morally ambiguous than ever before, with Russians so evil you wouldn't believe. Surprise! A Russian Su-25 jet, there it is, apparently bombing civilians. In the next scene, white helmets, the rescue wing of Syria's jihadist rebels are seen helping injured civilians out of rubble, just like in their real-life propaganda reels.
The Syrian first responders who risk their lives to save others in war-torn Aleppo.
In the face of unrelenting brutality, heroes have emerged.
They have all chosen to risk their lives to save others.
Now, it's only a trailer, but something tells me we won't see the ugly side of the white helmets. I doubt we'll see them disposing of freshly executed corpses for Islamist terrorists. I doubt we'll see them waving Al-Qaeda flags as they do in real life. I doubt we'll see them staging chemical weapons attacks. What I don't doubt is that the Russians will be portrayed doing things that would put Satan himself to shame, at least going by what those who've already played the game are saying.
We saw gameplay from the perspective of a young Farah, the girl who would eventually grow up to be the commander of the rebel forces. Fleeing from the invading Russian army, Farah and her family are eventually cornered by a soldier who kills her father.
We see Karim crawling under a bed and scurrying around her house to take down a long-headed Russian soldier with little more than a screwdriver.
To be fair, it's only a game. Artistic license and all that. No relation to real-life events, people, or politics. It's just a video game for young, malleable, impressionable kids, showing imaginary Russians invading, bombing civilians, murdering civilians, gassing civilians, and being killed in turn by the protagonist. And the white helmets virtually copy-pasted from CNN into Call of Duty. Coincidence. Totally.
What we say is, what defines a terrorist is in the eye of the beholder. This is not a black and white world.
Oh, so ISIS bombing an airport in Europe doesn't necessarily mean it's terrorism. That's like real life, dude. We all decide what's good and what's bad, like in previous Call of Duty games, where the player gets to massacre hundreds of Russian civilians in an airport.
No Russian.
And again, by total coincidence, Call of Duty and the Pentagon have almost identical perceptions of who is good and who is bad. What I meant by coincidence is the opposite of coincidence. Not only are Pentagon employees brought in to help design the game, but Call of Duty writers then go on to advise at the Pentagon.
We started thinking about how to change Call of Duty. We brought in a lot of outside help, military advisors, futurologists. We got together with a scenario planner from the Department of Defense, who is active in the Pentagon.
Which, of course, means nothing. It's only a game for kids. I just wonder, when will we get a modern warfare installment where the protagonist is patriotic, Middle Eastern, and fighting to rid his country of an occupying American army? What do you think those Pentagon advisors would have to say to that?
We spoke to Joe Lombardo, co-coordinator at the United National Anti-War Coalition. He claims the US military uses video games as a propaganda tool.
I think it's just part of the propaganda that comes out in various forms to get people used to war and to get people to take sides, especially young people. Propaganda comes in very many forms, and throughout my lifetime I've seen movies and Hollywood change. And I think this is preparing people for the kind of world that the U.S. military and the U.S. government want to see so they can continue their dominance, military dominance and political dominance over the world. The U.S. military should stay away out of the gaming industry. They should stay out of Hollywood. They should stay out of the sports industry, but they are in all of those industries.
So that's a lot to intake right now. That is a lot to intake right now. As you can see from the actual news piece, there are a lot of suggestions and questions about the newest Call of Duty and the theme of their game, the story's setting based on the Syrian war, and the themes carried out in them. Who's doing what, who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. And I just find it disturbing. Well, not really, because they got to create the game that way. So in order to make it realistic, you got to go to your military to get information from them to create your stories. And I guess that's fine and everything, but you know, they've done it for past Call of Duty games. How come there hasn't been any up in arms regarding that? And I can't speak for other people, but the reason I don't like war games, period. I understand the historical context that they want certain people to kind of relive certain things that happened, like World War II, the themes of the Vietnam War, themes of the Iraq War, things of that nature, you know, World War I, all that other stuff. So I can understand them doing that for those type of games. But when you have an active war going on, like right now, and you're making a game that suggests which side is playing what, good or bad, I think that's very dangerous, because you're using a platform as powerful and influential as video games to influence the consumers to see real life, right, in one way. A lot of these guys don't actually watch or read the news so that they can get all, well, I wouldn't, there are three sides to every story. But there's a truth. That's the only side that actually matters. But to come to the truth, which is rare, it's very hard to come to the truth sometimes, because you have two opposite sides. So you have the pro and you have the con, and depends on which side you're for. The other is pro via con, and vice versa. And the ideal here, critical thinking would tell you, you get both sides, you review the information from both sides, review the evidence of both sides, and then that will help you get closest to the truth. Unless it's like straight direct for like the US bombed Nagasaki. That's a fact. That's a truth. There is really no sides to it. That's just really what it is. Neither side, Japan or the US, argue against what happened. They both agree that it happened. That's a hard truth. But in a situation like this, when you have people like when you have countries like Turkey, Iran, terrorist groups, I'm not going to name any of the terrorist groups that's out in Syria, along with the US, along with Russia, along with Israel, all in Syria, and having a war, to create a video game that depicts this actual live real-time war and who are the so-called bad guys and so-called good guys, that suggestive thinking right there, to me, is unethical. And this is my issue with the entire game. And this is, the game doesn't come out yet, but clearly these news articles like Vice and the New York Times have had access to the game, and they've reported on these things, which then RT is then doing their opinion piece based on those guys' findings. So we don't really know what the full story of the game is. But that's not the point of this discourse. This particular discourse is about gamers getting involved in politics and war. And before I join the Discord to talk about this, I really want to talk about, the hypocrisy behind it. As a gamer, I've been gaming for 30 plus, going on 40 years now. Actually, yeah, soon it'll be 40 years. But so as a gamer, gaming for 38 plus years, and then being involved in competitive gaming, esports pretty much for the last 20 years, I have dealt with sponsors who have told me, and like sponsors then and now, especially with our Discord, Triforce, there's a lot of good you can do in gaming and for people, especially with our campaign to Africa. But you got to kind of focus on what people are coming to your channel for, which is video games. And I've learned, I've been through so many, what's the word for this? I've been in the war zone in the gaming scene. And what I mean by the war zone is that we are in a very sensitive age. In the last 10, 15 years, we're in a very sensitive age where there's a lot of things going on politically, religious, and socially, that a lot of people get offended by a lot of things. They get offended by things that are false, which they should because it's false. And they get offended by things that are true, which I don't understand. If it's true, why are you getting offended by it? And I used to try to combat it head on based on the principles of truth. But I've realized, and I mean like recently, realized that that actually doesn't matter anymore. People are going to believe and feel or think the way they're going to think and feel, and there's nothing you can do to change it. Facts doesn't change anything. We're in an age where faith is more powerful than facts. Your belief in something is more important than the actual facts. You can bring facts to a person whose entire ideology is based off faith, and cognitive dissonance kicks in. It doesn't matter how you can prove it's facts. It doesn't matter because it's how they feel based on their faith or their belief in something. So they don't care if it's factual. They're going to still stick to what's false because that makes them feel comfortable. And because of that, I've decided that moving forward, this is helping me to grow as a person. And now I understand why a lot of content creators, actors, athletes, leaders, political figures, people like that don't really get into these things anymore because it's literally futile. The only thing you can do is action. You have to do something based off action. Action speaks louder than words. And I decided that I'm not going to get into these conversations or these arguments anymore with people or try to debate things. I don't mind questioning just for the purpose of getting the information out there. But I'm going to start reserving my opinions on religion, on social issues, on politics, on war, because it's really just it's literally pointless. It really is. We as gamers have been told that we should just stick to playing video games and don't worry about what's going on in the real world. You've Many of you have heard this theme. You know something? We play video games to get away from the real world, and we get out of the real world, and we go play our fictional little games that do bring over some themes from real life and whatever, so it can make us feel a little bit more connected to the underlining issue of the matter. Although we're playing some type of fictional games. You guys ever played a game called Jet Force Gemini? That's a great game. Play a game like Org Battle 64. Most of you guys have played Metal Gear. They take themes of issues, political, social, whatever, religious, in real life, and they apply to a fictional world in a video game. I think that's fine. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is that in real time, right now, when something is going on where hundreds of thousands of people are in turmoil and they're living in the worst conditions of war, death on all sides via the terrorists and the soldiers, and you're going to make a video game that's going to suggestively tell you who the good guy and the bad guy is. That's where I'm like, all right, see, this doesn't make any sense. You tell us to stay out of these type of things, but then you bring those things in real life into the game, real time. Not like Metal Gear, which Metal Gear was made talking about a war that already happened, and the Black Ops things behind it and all that other stuff, and they mix up the Pentagon with the DARPA chief, and you kind of get an idea, like, oh, I see what they're basing it off of a theme that happened already. That's one thing. But when you're doing something that's based on something happening now, that's dangerous. So let me go to my Discord right now. I'm going to be joined by my Discord right now. So I'm jumping in here with the Discord. What's going on, guys? Can you guys hear me?
Are we streaming at Triforce?
Yes, we are streaming.
Damn.
So yeah. For the purpose of this discourse, because it's a very important topic, I'd request that we please try not to use any language not suitable for work. Thank you. If you can mind your words, actually, like I'm telling the audience here, this is a real community of gamers. So this is live. This is being streamed. It's not being recorded. So we're dealing with some real people, and sometimes our language is not the best stuff for this thing. But I know I can professionally turn off the cursing and not. But for some of the people in the Discord, I'm gonna ask them.
Are you referring to anybody in particular?
No, I'm referring to the Discord. So if you feel guilty about that, let me know, because then we can just, mute you. But I'm asking everyone in the Discord to please try to not bring that up. So I'm just going to shorten this because I want to get started on the topic. I just did a whole, I think, 15 minutes, 20 minutes on the intro. And we're talking about the Call of Duty game and how the theme is gamers should stay out of politics, stay out of religion, stay out of social issues and stuff like that, and just focus on the games. Yet the modern Call of Duty, based on Vice magazine and the New York Times, have stated that that the game is based on this current Syrian war, the White Helmets, Russia, and the game suggests roles in terms of good guy, bad guys in this actual war. And I think that's like unfair, and that's very dangerous, using a video game as a propaganda tool to tell a war going on right now. And I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on, this is the key question. This is the real question right here. Should gamers stay out of politics and war? The floor is to the Discord. So anyone wants to jump in, please do.
Well, if no one's going to jump in, I'd like to start off.
Sure.
To be honest with you, as a gamer myself, I don't keep myself away from politics or war. I try and keep myself up to date with what is going on in the outside world, and I don't see it as a bad thing of us staying in touch with what is going on. Just due to the fact that in one point or another, it may affect us. Now, in not maybe in the short term, but more in the long term.
Mhm. So, based on the what we saw, did you? I in the intro, I actually ran the actual piece by RT. Did you get a chance to listen to that?
Yes, I did get the moment to listen to it, and I absorbed what I could hear because I did have the Discord in one ear and I was listening to the stream as well.
Okay, so what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on? Do you know anything about the current Syrian war? That what's literally going on?
That I will not lie, I have not been able to truly catch up on. I've been reading a lot of other articles at the moment and haven't really kept up to date with that.
Okay, so let me give you an idea about the whole thing, and I'm gonna objectively tell you about this war, right? So, Syria is being accused by the United States of it attacking its own civilians with chemical weapons, which requires the U.S. intervention to stop them and shut down that government because they are a dictator and they're wicked to their own people. Terrorists, ISIS, is in their country killing people, and the Syrian government is trying to fight off these terrorists, which this is what I'm talking about questions. I don't understand. If Syria is killing its people with chemical weapons, which I don't know why they're doing it, but let's say they want to do it because they just want to kill their people, then ISIS coming in to kill the Syrian people would be them helping Syria? So if the terrorists are killing the Syrian people along with the government, why is the government killing the terrorists to try to stop them from killing the people that they want to kill? Okay, so that's one situation. The US government is not trying to necessarily get involved. However, they're working with forces, proxy forces. I don't want to say what forces, but the US has an influence in the conflict through proxy forces to overthrow the Assad regime. Russia wants to stop ISIS, which is in Syria, and they have done a very good job in defeating the terrorists and running them out, in which the US is claiming credit for. Reminds me of World War II, when America was trying to take credit for the Russians, who actually were the one that actually took Stalingrad and defeated Hitler. But, you know, yeah, no one knows that. No one knows about the amount of Russians that died to stop Hitler. It's publicly known.
It's actually taught in high school.
It's taught in high school that America is the one that... this is crazy. But like when you do the facts, it's like, no, it was Russia that did it. So, but whatever. We're one war at a time. So Russia is over there bombing ISIS, whatever. The US is telling Russia not to intervene. They're saying that Russia is helping the Syrian government chemically bomb their people. An independent investigation organization sanctioned by the UN went in to look up these chemical attacks and found no evidence of chemical attacks on its people. Most importantly, one of the investigators said that there was a video with people getting hit with the chemical bombs running into the hospital, and they were throwing water on them to get the chemicals off. And the guy just said, if you just think about it, like just like you don't even need to be one of these scientists in chemical warfare. you can't remove chemicals with water, and the doctors helping them would need to be putting on protective suits so that they don't get contaminated by the chemicals. But no one is wearing chemical suits. So how is it? Oh my goodness! And then one of the kids that so-called survived the chemical attack went to the UN, literally the actual UN in New York, and testified that there was no chemical attack. It was staged. It was fake. It's in the news, but it's not shown in Western news media. You'll have to go to the BBC, Al Jazeera, RT, Press TV, and non-Western media news to get that information. So that's kind of omitted to the West. You don't believe me? Google GTS, Google that stuff. Type in fake chemical attack in Syria. It pops up on YouTube. You can see it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Please don't take my word for it. And it's just a catastrophe of finger pointings from all sides. The good news is that the terrorists have been thwarted in Syria to the point where they're virtually not there anymore. Based on what I've read, it's thanks to Russia's intervention. Based on Western media, it's thanks to U.S. intervention. Although Donald Trump says he have already removed people from the soldiers from Syria. So if he's removing soldiers from Syria, then how is it that the U.S. is beating up ISIS if they've been removed or are being removed? So if they're leaving, who's fighting the terrorists right now? So none of these stories match up, all this other nonsense, whatever. So you have this whatever. So I'm trying to be as objective and impartial as possible by giving the overlining story and not taking any sides, so people can look it up for themselves. But can you imagine a video game comes out and says, this is our telling of the story? For kids who don't know, kids who don't watch C-SPAN, kids who don't watch all these different news pieces, they're not going to look up UN councils and sit through 2 hours of the UN, because that's what I do. I'll go on any one of these news channels like the BBC, and when the UN is running, they're 3 hours, and Venezuela is arguing against the US, and Russia is arguing against the US, and all these, and it's like 2 hours of boring talk. I'm playing Tetris and I'm listening to it. Which kid 7 to 33 is going to do that? They don't have time for that. We're in a world of YouTube where people want to watch things that's like 5 minutes long. Ain't no one got no time for no 1-2 hour stuff. I'm like, just what it is. So if they're not watching that and they're getting all sides of the conflict so that they can come up with their own decision, they're just playing a video game in where you play as a character through the situation, then your mind is really made up. It's made up for you. And that's why the guy says, you know, kids impressionable and malleable to this type of information. And this is literally the definition of propaganda. And I just think it's just so wrong that they don't want gamers, they don't want athletes, they don't want entertainers, singers, whatever. They don't want any of these people in the social diaspora to ever have an opinion on politics and stuff unless you're voting. That's the only time you're allowed to give your opinion. In fact, your opinion is given in something you put in a ballot box or check off on a computer screen. But they don't want us to think or have our own voice, or worse than not thinking. They don't mind us thinking. They don't want us to ask questions. That's, I think, to them is the worst. Don't ask questions. If you have a thought and an opinion, keep it to yourself when it comes to politics, sex, social issues, war. Keep it to and religion. Keep it to yourself. Don't talk about it. Don't question it. It is what they say it is. And I want you guys' opinions on what I just went through. What are your thoughts on my assessment to that? And I use assessment wrong. What are you guys' thoughts to my point of view on that? Quote unquote, Cornelius is saying in the.
I mean, they haven't even, like, it's not like the game is out to where you know the stories. So how do you know, like, how they're gonna represent the war?
Well, like I said, according to the New York Times and according to Vice, this is RT reporting on reports from the New York Times and Vice, which states, or which is saying there that the game is suggesting that the Russians are the villains in the game and the white helmets are the altruistic good guys. Nothing is stated fact, like the guy said in the report. It's just a video game, and everyone has a right to their fictional opinion. So, as it stands, we don't know, but based on this report, based on the report.
My whole thing is this. If they are going that route of using real-time events, then I agree that they would have to show all sides of it. You know, not just trying to depict one party as this, because I think when I went and watched that RT video, the guy was basically saying that, yeah, some of the white helmets, they do this and that and the third, but did you guys not know that they do this, this, and this too? So it's kind of like with stuff like that, it's kind of like really blurring the lines and almost crossing that fine line of, ooh, y'all getting too deep here. Like, why y'all bringing this into our games? And we were told, like you said, we were told in the past, like, stay out of it, don't say anything about it. We're like, all right, cool. But then there's always the situation where when stuff like that is put into games, then, you know, doctors and psychiatrists and, you know, some political heads, they then be like, well, the reason why this is happening is because of violent video games and blah, blah, blah. That's a whole nother different argument. We're like, but wait, we ain't asked them to put this in our games. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you want to blame video games? I'm like, before you even do that, let's not even talk about movies. Let's not talk about music. Let's not talk about all these like celebrities and crap that like it's hypocritical just to point the blame at one entity if you're not going to blame everybody else.
Well,
like,
in defense of the Call of Duty franchise, they even showed you in the, because I played Modern Warfare, the part where that they were shooting. It's kind of funny. I had this very conversation a couple of days ago.
The airport scene.
The airport scene. And remember, I was telling you, like, when I was there, I didn't want to shoot any. Yeah, I didn't want to shoot any of the people, the Russian people. I wanted to kind of shoot like the guys were telling me to shoot them and see what you could do or what happened. And I was doing everything in my power not to shoot them. So they have shown the U.S. in a negative light. They don't show. The thing about Call of Duty is that they don't necessarily take any sides per se. And until the game comes out and I play the game for myself and see the context of this report in the game itself, that'll be a different situation. And I actually just might do that. Like, get the game, play the game, compare the game.
House and stuff.
No, at my house. We have a PlayStation 4 here. Khalil has one. Get the game, play the game, right? Or if the game comes out for the Nintendo Switch, I'll play it on the Switch. And then compare things being suggested in the game and do real-time, real-world investigations based on the suggestive information in the game. In fact, you know something? I'm going to do that. You know why? Because I think gamers should be in politics and war, religion, and everything. I think we should express ourselves, and that's the main question that I'm asking here. Should we stay out of it? Gamergate is like, no, gamers should have basketball players shouldn't shut up and dribble. Entertainers shouldn't. Any person, any human being that has an opinion on a particular topic should be able to voice their opinion and have a discourse about the issue that they have, providing there's a platform for them. Because some people may not want to talk about it. You shouldn't force people to talk about something that you want to talk about. If they don't want to hear it, then just don't want to hear. You have to find your audience. So you shouldn't force your topics on people either. So I'm not for that either. But I believe gamers should be in all of these things. The reason why I bring up this question as not even a side thing, because this is really like the principle of the thing. And this is going to get me in a lot of trouble, but it has to be said. Because I have to say it for the gamers out there as well. A lot of gamers are sponsored by many different companies that have their own political ideology, their social ideology, and so forth, religious, etc., right? But sponsors want gamers to be responsible and focus on literally what they're being sponsored for. And when they do that, it kind of puts a gag in their mouth. Because if they want the sponsorship, then they have to understand that on the sponsor's dime and time, they really can't get involved in that type of stuff. And we live in a world where people want to express themselves in their First Amendment right. So, but then at the same time, I can see from the sponsor's point of view, because those type of things, when you're representing the sponsor, so your point of view can contaminate what the sponsor is trying to put out there. And they don't want to get involved in that. And it's a very hairy situation, because as a gamer, you have to know how to articulate these things. Someone stated, I'm going to read what this gentleman stated in the YouTube channel, because I have to correct him right off the top. He says, I believe in a lot of your political opinions. Well, I don't know if he's talking to me, but if he is, I just want to say this right now. I don't have a political opinion in any of this. War is bad. That's not a political opinion. That's a human fact. People die in wars. Is war necessary? I don't even know if I want to give you guys that answer. All I know is that nothing I say, and this goes back to what I said earlier about me changing the ways I'm going to start addressing a lot of topics. Nothing I say will change anything. Nothing. Doesn't change anything. It has absolutely zero effect. Zero. Unless I'm PewDiePie and I have a platform large enough where my words then influences at a mass level. But nothing I say. So it's like me wasting my time having these arguments about history and anything, whether religious, political. That's why I said I'm just going to cut it. This is pointless. It literally is pointless. Like I've literally 2019 just learned this. So all my political views I've ever had, which was really none, just other than I think all of these countries' leaders are just evil people. If you are willing to send your people to war over an issue, you got to be evil. War should be the last. You should never declare war. No country should ever declare war for any reason. It doesn't matter what's happening. No reason should you ever declare war. None whatsoever. There's no reason. There's no situation. Everything should be. The only time war is not something you declare. War just happens. So if someone decides to attack you guys' country, the U.S., then the U.S. has a right to defend itself. That's war happening. Like, quote unquote, the battle for Midway or, World War II, Pearl Harbor. Boom. Pearl Harbor got hit. America's in the war. That's a justification. But saying we're going to send troops to your country to fight you because of something we don't agree with regarding you, like the situation with Iran. Oh, they're attacking U.S. stuff in Iran. My question is, what are you doing in Iran or even around Iran? Like, U.S. is like all the way over here. What are you guys doing all the way over there? But then that's another political thing, or whatever the case may be. So I don't support any country in war, period. All of them. Russia, U.S., China, anybody. I don't care. I don't have no, first of all, I'm African, so I ain't got nothing to do with any of them. I don't support any of their war, fearing whatever. I don't want to say I'm a pacifist to war, because The next time anyone comes to try to physically colonize Africa, I'm on a plane and I go get my spears and bows. No, I'm on a plane. But I'll be on a plane and I'm clipping up and I'm going to join my African people. You don't come to my homeland. That's just what it is. I'm not going to sit in the West and talk about, oh, that is unfortunate. No, I'm on the plane back home and I'm defending my heritage and my motherland and my country and my people. So that's just how that works. But outside, all this other stuff, the religious, LGTB, politics, done. Triforce is done. Triforce is done. I'm out. Triforce, what do you think about? Not my problem. Just like how we have starving people in Africa, and hey guys, can you help us? Not your problem. All right, not a problem. What was that song Tupac says? Oh, they don't give up about us. That's right, yeah. Michael Jackson even said that. So yeah, I'm done with that. I am out. But in terms of the situation right now, should gamers have be in politics and war? I'm all for it. I think gamers are the most intelligent people in the world. Like, hands down, bar none. Because video games actually, whether you're autistic, whether you have Asperger's or whatever it is, the one thing I love about video games is that it actually gets the synapse in your brains. It works. It makes you think. Television, all of these other media platforms, doesn't make you think. It actually just programs you. So, when you put a person through one of them x-rays to see the kind of brains, people don't play brains, their brains are smooth. I'm talking about you can shine off of it, just no wrinkles. People play video games, I'm talking about their brains are wrinkled. I'm talking about like paper, you just wrinkled brains. That's that thinking. So yes, that's an insult for people who don't play brains. You guys are smooth brains. And people play video games, congratulations, you guys are intelligent. And I think if more gamers got involved in politics and war, we'd be able to bring a lot of the discussion on politics and war in an area where we can try to work out how, or bring more points to light, because it's just not a big enough voice. And the people who have the voice that can speak on these things are too concerned with what they have in terms of assets, sponsors, endorsement deals, contracts, and stuff like that, where they don't really want to talk about these things because they jeopardize those things. So they really don't like to talk about it. In sports, Colin Kaepernick sacrificed his NFL career to take a social stance on the disproportionate killings and police brutality towards Africans in America. And yeah, he got beat up big time for that, just for having a point. So, and it's kind of like it's set up where it's like, we're gonna get these guys. The minute they start talking about stuff like that, we're gonna punish them in the pocket for those stuff. And I think if more gamers did this, just like if more athletes did it, you really can't stop them, because like you need them. They're your industry. That's why LeBron James started speaking out about certain things, and then some Fox anchor lady told him shut up and dribble. LeBron was like, that's that fighting game community thing. Yo, whose is this? It's like, what? So I think if more people, more actors, more athletes, more celebrities, more gamers voice their opinion, yes, it gets heated, yes, the debate, that's what Twitter's for, then we can get to the heart of the issues on a lot of things, and some type of action can be taken to solve these things, rather than people being punished for having an unpopular opinion. Meaning, if you look at social media platforms, out there, not going to say no names, if you don't agree with a certain narrative from the West, they close your account. Yeah. All right. In any case, let me put it to you guys one more time. I'm going to go through the Discord room. I want to give everybody about 1 or 2 minutes. So we have Chandler in here, Robin in here. Well, Sahil's not listening. Mad Monkey. So I want to just go with you guys real quick. And Arcana is in here. Anna, your thoughts. 2 minutes per person. Do you think gamers should be involved in politics and war? Yes or no, and why? We'll start with Chandler. You there? Okay, Chandler is not there. All right, so I guess I'll go to Mad Monkey. Mad Monkey, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Gamers, should they be in politics and war? If yes or no, and why?
I'd say we should be in politics and war. Reason being that if we're not constantly knowing what's going on, and this is more towards the whole thing of the new Call of Duty, we should be involved knowing the difference between what is going on inside the game and what is going on in the news, so we can differentiate the different things, and being able to actively voice our opinions, even if they don't get heard very well. We at least have that little voice out somewhere, and maybe at one point it might just click in somebody's head. Maybe one day they'll be like, oh, look, this person had a good argument, so let's continue from there.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I don't know if Anna can hear me, but she is mute.
Of course I can.
Oh, you can. All right. So I'll end it with you, Anna. Gamers, should they be in stuff like politics, religion, war, sexuality, or sexual orientation, etc.? Yes or no, and why?
Yes, because politics, war, and all that other stuff
Mm-hmm.
isn't exclusive to a clique or a group of people, right? It's not solely a politician thing. It's not solely a gay people thing. It's not solely a man versus woman thing. It's a people thing. Like, if you are human and you are living in a society, you are, whether you like it or not, involved in that society's politics, war, rights, laws, etc., etc., etc. So you are doing a disservice to yourself, first and foremost, by not keeping up to date. And a good example of that is, right now, our legal system here is going through this whole shookum with states deciding to not honor Roe v. Wade. For me as a female, that's a big issue. But you don't need to be female to see why that's a potential issue, because if that is up for grabs to be revoked, then so is everything else that covers healthcare or bodily autonomy for anybody. Thinking that because you're a gamer, or in like LeBron's case, a basketball player, means that you can't have an opinion is probably the most ignorant argument that there is.
Yes, it is.
Like, beyond ignorance. Like, I would rather hear what LeBron has to say as a professional in his field, as someone who's grown up through a system that is rigged against him, than Tommy Lauren, or whatever the heck her name is, privileged white princess who's had her daddy pay for everything and has probably never even picked up a broom in her life.
Wow. Okay, that's brutal.
Well, and that's the truth. It's the people who don't care about politics are the people who are privileged enough that no matter what happens, they'll be okay.
Exactly. Yes, 100% agree.
Gamers are not those people.
Well, the majority of gamers, because some of those people that you're talking about, they play games too. They're actually gamers. They're good. Yeah. And I agree.
Majority, and it's especially weird because people who are obsessed with football, like that's like a national thing.
Mhm.
Everybody is obsessed with some sport. People who are super into reading books, okay, fine. It's literally just people who like video games that there's some unspoken rule, like do not touch kind of thing,
Yeah.
which I don't get because it's a hobby just like anything else is a hobby. You know, I'd rather be in my room obsessed with my video game than when my state team wins the national championship of football, we go into the street and start burning cars. Like I'd rather that than car burning, but you know, preferences, I guess. You don't need
Mhm.
permission to be involved. There's no prerequisite that
This
you
is
be
true.
involved in politics other than you care. And that's it.
And we need more
You
people
just
that
have to
care.
care about your placement in life or other people's placement in life.
And your contribution to the forward movement of society as a whole.
Yeah. Even if like it's me versus someone I don't agree with on something,
Mm.
even if someone has a position that I don't agree with, they still have a right to that position.
That's true. And I agree with that.
You can be, you know, maybe a little delusional or blind, or you know, if you're only taking in one side of the argument, if you're not looking for reasons why you could be wrong, not because you want to be wrong, but because, you know, what is the phrase? Know thy enemy, I guess, but it's not really enemy. It's just know
Opposition.
the opposition.
Yeah, pretty
Understand where they're coming from, right?
much. Hmm.
I don't take political sides. I'm independent. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. They both have things that they're right about. They both have things that they're wrong about. The problem is they don't compromise ever. They don't meet in the middle. They do great if they just met in the middle sometimes, and they won't.
It's always going to be a problem for people to meet in the middle because everyone's strong on their opinions. But let me close off and say to the YouTubers out there, so I'm going to let this go up on the discourse section. This is a special edition of the discourse. You guys have heard it from Robin. You guys have heard it from Mad Monkey. You guys have heard it from Anna. Gamers in our Discord, their thoughts on the entire situation. You definitely heard it from me. So I want to hear it from you guys. I'm going to follow up on this throughout the entire year, and I'm so serious when when Call of Duty comes out. I'm going to get the game, I'm going to play the game, and I'm going to literally run parallel the game's story and see how close that it gets to what's going on in the real world. I just want to run that experiment, and I want to get people's thoughts on whether or not games can be used as propaganda tools, which that's real dangerous there. So I definitely want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. The questions out there for you guys: should gamers be involved in politics and religion and sexual orientation and war and all that stuff? Should we be able to voice our opinion without there being any blowback to us, just like how they can voice their opinion through video? The video game industry can voice its opinion through its actual creative content, which is video games. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I would love to read some of these things. I'll even do some stuff on Twitter and Hashtag and even Facebook where I take some of you guys comments and I do little follow-ups on them and stuff like that. So I really look forward to you guys doing that. Thank you guys for joining us on this special edition of the Discord. Until then, I will see you guys another time. Later.